Hi, I'm Robyn Birkin, an ex-corporate marketer turned online business owner. I took everything I knew and created a six-figure life coaching business in the margins between nap times and a 9 to 5, and I'm here to share with you how you can do the same. Tune in as I share the raw and unfiltered truths, big lessons, and practical tips to help you build and grow a sustainable bread-winning business online that is both peaceful and profitable. Here, we dive deep into all things online courses, funnels, audience growth, and so much more. If that sounds like the things you want to learn, then welcome to Signature Online Course Secrets. Let's go. Hi, there are only a few more days left to join us in the Peace and Profit Mastermind. If you've been on the fence, if you don't even know what I'm talking about, whatever it is, head to launcheasylife.com/mastermind. We are about to close the doors on my mastermind, which is where you can get my full attention on your business, from your sales pages to your launches to your socials to your strategy, and have that ability to not only have me do things like line by line go through your sales pages to ensure that the messaging is on point, the design is on point to maximize conversions, but do things like support you with your social strategy. What do I post today? Let me tell you exactly what to post today. If you're having mindset wobbles, if you need me to look at your offer strategy and develop your personal Sweet Six blueprint in your business, this is the way that you can get that. And so highly encourage you. The doors are about to close to head to launcheasylife.com/mastermind. This is where you get to play a bigger game and step into that Sweet Six CEO space in your business that I so know you want. We get to simplify but streamline your offer suite, make your launches so much more successful and less stressful, and help you achieve your best 6 months in business yet. Doors are about to close. Head to launcheasylife.com/mastermind. And if you're on the fence, go ahead and apply anyway, and I promise you'll receive so much more clarity about whether or not this is or isn't the right fit for you at this time, and some ideas about what is the next best step for you in business, even if the next right step for you in business isn't the Peace and Profit Mastermind. So in today's episode, we are talking about 7 reasons your audience isn't converting to sales. You might feel like you are doing all of the right things in business and not getting the traction that you deserve. Maybe you feel like you've been gunning for a 6 or multi-6-figure business for the longest time, but no matter what you do, you can't seem to break past your past personal best, or you just don't seem to be getting the launch figures that you thought you'd be getting by now. So this is what we're diving into in today's episode. 7 reasons, 7 clues as to why that might not be happening for you yet. I want to reassure you that it is so possible, but I also want to let you know that I probably could have gone on for about 20 reasons. This episode started off as 3 reasons, and I was like, well, that's also a major reason. This is also a major reason. And I guess that brings us back to the first reason. You're not receiving the sales that you deserve in your business. And that is that you're missing a whole strategy approach in your business. We all start off looking at everything in bits. But what happens when we do that is our business becomes really disjointed. Maybe you have an Instagram strategy and you're posting to grow followers, but those followers aren't converting to sales. Maybe there's some core pieces that we're missing in our content. So sales content doesn't just relate to what you do when the doors are open in your program. Everything in your business has to be working like a well-oiled machine so that we can optimize your sales. And it all has to work in harmony. So most of us have never started our business, even if you've had coaches before, even if you've joined courses before, they're usually looking at one tiny piece of the puzzle. Let's say you've joined a program about how to do a webinar. That's really great, but how do you build the email list to run the webinar? How do you lay out your sales page in order to have conversions? What does your social strategy look like in the lead up to your launch to make sure you're hitting all of the right points in terms of growth, nurture, and conversion content? And one of the things we do differently in Peace and Profit is we are looking at the whole business strategy, because also we want to look at, what does your offer suite look like? What are the other targets that you need to meet? How is each of your offers playing together? And are they playing well together? Or is your offer suite kind of cannibalizing one another and confusing your audience, which is therefore sabotaging your conversions and profit in your business? Business is not bitsy. You need to be looking at the full picture of how everything is playing and working together. We look at this through the full lens of your offer and promotion strategy and what that looks like over the course of 3, 6, and 12 months. And we want you to have ultimate clarity on exactly what you should be posting, exactly what metrics you need to be reaching, exactly what your strategy is to reverse engineer the profit and the sales that you need in the offer suite that you have. And so much of what we're doing is missing core pieces. And it's almost like, when you go to those video games and let's say it's like Mario Kart and you have to jump on these moving rocks. That's what it's like when your business strategy is not a full business strategy. You're learning a little bit of how to create a course here. You're learning a little bit of Instagram over here. And each provider that's providing that isn't looking at things necessarily in the full context of the business and offer suite that you want to have and the launches that you want to have in your business. So when you have a full picture strategy, it's as easy as like walking down a path rather than having to jump around to, floating rocks like you're in a video game. The next thing, which is a bit of a hard truth, is you actually don't have as many people as you think. And what I specifically mean by that is potentially that you don't understand the way that a launch works in terms of conversions. So you need in your launch runway a particular number of people, and you want to aim for 2 to 4% of the people who enter your pre-launch runway to then join your program or service. So sometimes I find that there's a bit of confusion between like, this is the number of followers I have on Instagram, or this is the email list that I have. And I have never found it to be true for 4%, let's say, of your Instagram followers to convert every single launch. If you have a small audience, yes, your conversion rates might be higher if you launch really well and it's your first or second launch. Yes, maybe that's based on your total followers, but followers can become stale over time. So what I typically find to be true is it's based on the number of people who enter your launch runway. And your launch runway is the list building efforts you put in the immediate time, like prior to your launch, right? So 2 to 4%. And followers do not equal people engaging with your launch. So the first thing is you don't have as many people as you think. The second to this is because I've worked with people who have 100,000, 200,000, like heaps of followers, but sometimes what that's been a result of is posting very generic or very influencer type content. I also work with influencers who have, hundreds of thousands of followers, but who have posted really strategically as a service provider and understood the metrics of how to launch. And I mean, win-win, they smash it in launches because they understand exactly how that works. But if you've gone viral, let's say with really generic content, you likely would have a number of followers in your audience who are completely unaligned with what you want to do and therefore low engagement. And therefore your followers don't necessarily equal the people who will engage and convert later in a launch process. So it's really important for us to understand what we have and what we need in order to reach the targets that we've set. And sometimes, those two things are at odds with each other. There's one question I've been asked more than anything else, and it's this. Robyn, how do you get so much done in such a short period of time? Because I've never had the luxury of being able to work in my business and hustle those 40 to 60 hour weeks. It's all been between nap times, a 9 to 5, or the school run. And from my second year in business and ever since, we've had 6-figure plus years. So this is it. I've put together for you my entire weekly work schedule, my to-do list, and everything I do in my business to help give you the tips, insights, and strategies to help you thrive as a business owner in part-time hours. It's called 16-Hour CEO, and it's a value-packed PDF that takes you behind the scenes in my business. Want a copy? It is totally free, and it's at launcheasylife.com/CEO. That's launcheasylife.com/CEO. All right, let's dive back into the episode. The next one, as I've alluded to, is that your audience is just tapped out. So maybe you have a stale message, like you've just repeated the same messaging again and again and again. And launches should be rinse and repeat, but that doesn't mean we don't refresh the messaging, even every launch, because it's important that we pivot our messaging to move with the market at times of the year, right? Our messaging will change and shift. So if you have a stale message or a stale launch, you've just been saying the same thing in the same way forever and a day, you're going to tap out your audience. They're going to tune out. Also, if you've had no growth, let's say of your email list and of your socials, and you've just been launching and launching and launching again to the same audience, you may have tapped out that audience. So it's really important that in your plan and your strategy for the year that you have included growth within that plan and you know exactly how to do that. The next thing is that we're missing nurture content within our strategy. So that's really, really fine if everything that you do on Instagram, let's say, is 5-second reels that go viral. Cool. But are you really positioning yourself as an authority in the marketplace and someone who can solve the problems that people have? And a lot of the time, growth content looks very different to nurture content, which looks very different to conversion content. Conversion content is the content that is not necessarily going to get the likes and the shares. Nurture content is what's going to get the saves. Conversion content is what's going to get people reaching out behind the scenes in the DMs with you. So if you look at my Instagram account right now, I don't post a lot of growth content at all. We've actually radically shifted our Instagram strategy to focus mostly on nurture and conversion content. So from the outside, you would look at that and you'd be like, well, it doesn't have very many likes. Cool. It's not there to get the likes. And this is where also understanding the part that your different mediums and content channels plays in your overall strategy. Again, big picture strategy. For me, my growth primarily comes from Facebook ads. I don't need my Instagram to be reaching new people because I am already, through my paid ad strategy, reaching new people. My Instagram used to be a huge growth channel for me, as did my podcast, but because we've now changed niche, that has changed as well. So we have to pivot and evolve with the market. I don't need reach anymore. What I need is to nurture and convert. So therefore, our Instagram strategy primarily does that. If you are just posting 4-second reels on Instagram and you've got growth, that's cool. But maybe you need to also then have a podcast, for example, to nurture your audience. So it's all going to depend on you and your Sweet Six channel. Maybe you need a YouTube channel, whatever it is, but you need to have growth, nurture, and conversion content. And maybe your mix of those three isn't quite right. And we need to tweak your channels in order to hit that. The next thing, the next reason your audience might not be converting to sales is that you keep posting and ghosting. You show up for 1 month, then you ghost for 2 months. Then you show up for 1 month, then you ghost for 2 months. And you have this on, off approach and you keep getting burnt out. And if that's happening, we need to look at what's going on with your business in your life that is causing you to burn out. And then saying, okay, well, look, we need to maybe shift and change. Again, coming back to the next one, we need to make sure maybe in other ways that we have growth, nurture, and conversion content, and we mix all of those three things consistently and develop a strategy consistently that you're hitting that. And if you're posting and ghosting, what you're going to find is you're just not building that trust with your audience, right? You're coming across potentially as flaky. So how do we build into your strategy that you can show up reasonably consistently? And again, I'm going to sound like a broken record. Maybe using paid ads is going to really support you in bringing that level of peace and consistency into your business with potentially growth, nurture, and conversion content. When you post and ghost, though, what happens is you're not understanding that marketing is a lagging indicator. It's a 90-day cycle, right? So what's happening is you post and then you don't see the traction and then you ghost. It's all dependent on your growth today is all dependent on what you did 60 to 90 days ago. So if you're continually posting and ghosting, you might get likes, you might get, have an audience, etc. You might be able to still hit the explore page, let's say on Instagram. But when you are on, off in your marketing all of the time, that's where you're going to see sales drop off. The next one is you don't understand sales psychology and exactly how to sell. Selling is not going to work for you if all you do is go, hey, buy my thing. It doesn't work that way. It also doesn't work that way if you're never directly selling to people and asking for the sale. Up to 80% of people need an invitation to join your program or service. So if you're, number one, never really selling directly, but number two, if the way that you sell is always just buy my thing, you're going to see sales drop off. So you really need to understand sales psychology and the way that people sell. You also need to understand the way to lay out things like sales pages, the way to launch, the way to message and speak to people on a sales page that has them thinking, this is for me, I really want this, you're my person, now I'm going to buy. So all of those things come into play. If you don't know how to sell and how sales work, it's not just a case of saying, buy my thing. It's not just a case of saying, this is what you get in my online course and here's the price, or this is what you get in my one-to-one package. It's 6 sessions and it's $120 each. That's not going to support you in converting your audience. There is a way to sell and convert people, and it's not just saying, buy my stuff. And so the very last thing is you don't have a pre-launch and your pre-launch messaging is off point, not on point. Launching and sales are about so much more than just when your doors are open. Launching and sales is primarily about what you do right before the doors are open. How are you building up to your product or service? How are you making people aware of the problems that they have and giving them the aha moments that they need in order to then understand the solution, which is what you solve in your product or service. And that all comes back to pre-launch messaging and a pre-launch runway. So let's just recap. Number one, you have a disjointed strategy. So you're looking at individual pieces of the pie, not how everything fits together in one big package or service. The next thing is you actually don't have enough people, or you're not quite understanding the conversion rates that you need and how to reverse engineer your sales figures. Number three, your audience is tapped out. So your messaging is stale, or you just don't have enough growth that is new growth. You've just been marketing to the same people again and again. The next one is you're missing nurture and conversion content. Maybe you've just been focused on growth content, and nurture and conversion is not necessarily just these 5-minute voiceover reels. The next one is you've been posting and ghosting. You've been very inconsistent, and we can totally fix that and bring that consistency in, but that's where we can look at a strategy that works for you. Then you just not understanding sales psychology, right? We need to understand how to put together sales pages, how to speak to our audience, how to message our program and service in a way that supports high conversions. And then the very last one is you've been focused just on doors open rather than building out a pre-launch runway, and how to essentially build people up so that the moment you open doors, they're like, already know you're my person and this is something that I'd be interested in. So that is the reasons your audience isn't converting to sales. There are so many things that we can do to kick off your sales in your business. And I hope that gives you some hope and some ideas of what you could potentially shift and change in your business. Of course, if you would like my personal support over the next 6 months, this is your invitation to join me in the Peace and Profit Mastermind. We will not be opening up doors, or we don't intend to open up the doors until March. So this is your opportunity to join us. If you would like more information, make sure you reach out to me on Instagram at Robyn Birkin, but otherwise doors close on the 23rd of August. Thank you so much for listening, and I will speak to you soon. Another episode on the books. If you'd like to continue the conversation and get more super savable tips, come and find me on Instagram at Robyn Birkin. Otherwise, make sure you're subscribed, and I can't wait to see you next week.